Guten Tag. Heute wir werden über die schwache Verben ein zweites Mal sprechen. Today we're going to talk about the weak verbs again. This is part 2. On this board here that you see, I have several weak verbs listed. We'll start with the verb spielen here. Spielen, of course, means to play. And it's the case with most Germans, if you've seen part 1, most German verbs, weak verbs that is, are going to end in en or an n. So what you want to do is to drop that. So in this case, from spielen, we drop the en off, and we're left with what's called the root of the verb again. And to that, we're going to add our s1010 ending. Okay, so for ich, it's ich spiele, that's the e, so ich spiele. Du spielst, we're adding an st there. And if you look at it the way I teach it, it's just est. And then 10, 10. I have that underlined for you. Er, sie, and es. Of course, this is he, she, and it. This is the third person singular, and they're all the same. So it's spielt. Wir spielen. Ihr spielt. Und sie spielen. There are a couple of variations, or a few things you should know about. One, something called Cranton stems. And basically, that's a term for a verb in German that once you take the en off of the verb, or the n, if it ends in a t or a d, then you'll notice that instead of a e, that stays the same. It's still a s1010. And then this part, however, in the second and the third person singular, you'll notice that before I added my st here, I had to add an extra e. So that's true of these verbs. Again, any German verb that once you take the en off of the infinitive form, if it ends in a t or a d, like Arbeit means to work, then you're going to have that happen. So it happens here, arbeitest, arbeitet, he works, and then down here in the you plural, ihr arbeitet, y'all work, okay? And reden is another example of that. You drop the en off, it ends in a d this time, so the exact same thing happens. Reden means to talk. So ich rede means I am talking, du redest, you talk, redet, and so on. And that's basically that. Another thing you'll need to watch out for with weak verbs or regular verbs is if you drop the en off and it ends in a z, like in the case of sitzen here, or if it ends in an s, like in the case of reisen, sitzen means to sit, reisen to travel, then what you're going to do is drop the s. You don't need to add two s's. So this happens, these are called sibilant stems. So if you drop the en off and it ends in the verb, the German verb ends in a z, an x, an s, or what's called in German an s-set, which is two s's together. That's going to happen. So ich sitze, I sit, du sitzt. Notice there is no s here. I dropped that off because it ended in z. Er sitzt, wir sitzen, ihr sitzt und sie sitzen. Und für reisen, ich reise, du reist, er reist, wir reisen, er reist, sie reisen. An excellent resource to find out more of what I'm talking about is right here. And you can use that to explain. It goes a lot in depth, but this is it in a nutshell. Ich hoffe, dass das hilfreich war. I hope that was helpful und auf Wiedersehen.